So on your team, I know you've got a bit of a team going on. How do you deal with systems and processes?
So how we've developed it is we've got a certain level of discipline for our team, but we always encourage the ability to be creative and bring your own ideas to the table. So we always meet weekly, every Monday, a Monday morning, motivate the team, see how everything's going, see how everything's kept up with. It's good to have that specific foundation, but to also enable everyone to have an idea and a thought process. That way it keeps them motivated and makes them feel like they're part of something and that they're actually making a difference.
Now, to Tone's point, though, and he's probably thinking the same thing I'm thinking is, when you talk about making a system and process, is everything written down so that if somebody came in to do a job of one of your employees, that you could easily replace them?
Bingo, yes it is.
Nice.
So we have it to where anytime there's a new client that comes in, everyone's unique in their own ways. So we take notated notes and recorded videos of specific scenarios that we have to take for that specific client. Because at any time, and we all know this, employees or team members, they're, some stay, some go. So in the case where, worst case scenario, someone decides to leave, how and what is it going to do to your company? Is it going to make the whole company fall apart, or can you bring someone in and they can just slide right in, understand these notes, and look at it
How
over?
did you get there?
Yeah.
How did you get there to that point? Did you do it, or did you have the employees do it?
I had the employees do it. They're already doing it.
Why were you
Might
thinking
as well
that way?
note. Well, I'll tell you why. Because they're already doing it.
Yeah.
And granted, yes, I did teach them, but to a certain degree, they're already doing it on a daily basis. It's the fact of, okay, make sure you notate what you're doing so that if I had to teach it to a 5-year-old, they could do it.
That's the office analogy.
Tell it to me
Talk
like
to me
I'm
like I'm
5.
5.
and they got it, and they wrote it down, and so now I say, if I were to fire you today, can you teach
Well,
someone
I wouldn't put it
Well,
like
that's a
that.
little
Jeez,
terrifying.
Emad.
But that's
Nice.
the thing is it's so great when you can implement this early
that
in your
part out.
business, because what's really hard is I had a client who hired me and they're 20 years in. They hired me to come help make sense of their business and help set the foundations with systems and processes so they could grow. And we started going through all their employees, and I was like, what does this person do? I don't know. They do this, this, and this. I was like, well, how do we know that they're doing it? I don't know. And then the employees were all so terrified when we started being like, okay, can you tell us exactly what you do every day? And they were like, why?
Yeah. all
Why? Are you going to
defensive.
fire me?
You know,
And no, if you got hit by a bus tomorrow,
Wow.
we'd be screwed.
So we're gonna kill
right?
you.
you guys both have to work on your
Delivery
your
of it.
delivery of that part.
But
First
the thing
one's
is,
getting fired,
it's a
one's
lot
getting hit
less
by a
likely
bus.
that I'm going to hit them with a bus than it is that you're going to fire them. So I think that's a funnier way
I
to
say,
say
look,
it.
if I had to duplicate your position, right, then
Yeah.
it would be nice to know exactly what those spots
Well,
are.
whenever we promote you, the next person that you train,
That's a good way to say it.
we go.
you want to have something to do. That's what we do, and it's a good opportunity for, as far as promotions go. Everybody says that they want to move up with their company and so on and so forth. I'm a good guest because I can tell you everything not to do, right? Like I've done it all wrong. So I've hired somebody as a partner and said, okay, I'm going to bring you in, give you a great salary on a 90-day probation period. And if you can show me that you want to run this business like I do, like you do the extra things and you earn your way, I'm going to give you a percentage of the business. That never, ever, 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 ever works, right? You should never say that thing out loud. You might think it. You might think it, but you never say that.
got a great
Which I didn't learn until later. So the thing is if somebody wants to advance, it's that the person who really wants to advance shows you in their actions and in the way that they are as a person. Like it's in everything that they do. It's you incarnated, because you know how much you want to run your business, and everybody, all the people who know you, like people who know me, know that I want to do, that I want to be successful.
Well,
So-
and if I can share my take on it, I think that's a great point. But I think it's also important to be able, important to be able to show people where they could grow in your company. Not just that this position exists, but this is where my vision of the company is, and you can really pick and choose where you see yourself fitting into it if if you would like to grow into that, but letting them kind of look at that and raise their hands, and then they can step up and do the extra work, because everybody wants to be working for fulfillment and pride in their work. But so many businesses you see nowadays, it's like you get hired for this position, especially in the corporate world. I think it's really, really bad in the corporate world. It's difficult to see your way. It's like climbing a mountain and you're like, well, maybe I go up this path, but there could be a dead end there. I have no idea. It's up ahead of that ridge, or there's no clear path to success in the corporate world.
Same
and
in a
lot
small
of businesses
business.
don't.
Same in a small business,
Yeah.
though, because there's no positions established, so you don't know where you're going to go next. That's right on with what we're talking about. Like, you got to let these people show you and earn by doing the little things. Like when you're doing this stuff, like we've seen this with the VA, and we're, let's say, talking about this cold collar training. So like, okay, can you document this while we're doing this? And we're doing a Zoom meeting, and I'm like, can you? I'm dictating something, and I'm saying, has anybody written this down? And they're like, yes. I say, can you share your screen? And right away, you see who is.
Yeah, that was Abby big time. Right?
Yeah, you see who is really got it. And I've had two people who were just starting out that are saying how bad they want to keep their job. One says almost in tears that she doesn't want to leave or lose the position with the company, and she loves the atmosphere and everything. But here I am dictating. I'm saying, okay, somebody write this down. I dictate something. Then I come back and say, who wrote that down? And only one person did it. It's the person that's the one who shines. I'm just going to say it that way.
Yeah.
And I think, we're getting a little granular on like recognizing good employees, which I think that's a really great point to like prove it. But also, we're talking about being a business owner rather than being a job owner, do you know what the structure of your organization needs to look like for you to be a business owner? Are you already working with that in mind so that when you are hiring people, you're keeping an eye out for the traits? Because ideally, we don't want to have 20, 30 direct reports. That would be impossible to maintain as a business owner, right? If we're a business owner, we have a few key direct reports that are then, there's a reason it's like a pyramid org chart looking on almost every organization. We're at the top. We want these 3 people reporting us. Those 3 manage the rest. So
When you say direct reports, you mean report directly to you.
yeah,
So
like
the
if you're in the Bahamas running your business because you're a business owner, who are the people you're meeting with every week?
Well,
whose
so let me.
phone call are you going to answer is what you're saying,
Exactly.
right?
So I'm actually establishing this in my company already, right? So that I appointed team leaders in certain divisions within my companies, which I'm actually got divisions now. So it's like, but that's to Heather's point, is it because me trying to talk to 4 different social media managers was a nightmare. Right? Because you want to be personable, you want to be all the things, but really all I want to do is I just want to get the information and get out, right? So I've got a team lead who can pay the attention and do all the nurturing and stuff that needs to be done, and I can just get the information I need and then validate what they're doing or correct or whatever I need to do. But yeah, that's huge. But that comes from vision. And that's one of the exercises she's walking me. Heather's walking me through in a coaching session was, what does your organization look like? So we map it out, and that helped me understand even the hiring personalities, right? And then having those discussions with people as we move along, so they can visualize themselves in that spot. Like, you know what, I could be a supervisor. I could do this.
First job I ever got that was like a higher position job. I was 19 years old and was hired as the director of marketing for George Harris Western Center's clothing, Western apparel, right? And I was an advertising salesman for a newspaper that sold him some ads, and then he hired me to run his whole marketing department. He was paying me $6.25 an hour. The guy before me was making $100,000 a year, but nobody told me that. Paid me $6.25 an hour to come in and do all of his advertising for the whole company. But what he told me was, the first thing he told me was, I'm hiring you in this position, but let me show you my chain of command. So he showed me his chain of command. He's at the top, his daughter and his son, and then there's me. So he put a 19-year-old kid, skinny kid with no experience except for how to do a couple things on making ads and so on, and a good personality. And he put me in charge of basically the whole company, because none of those 3 people really were there. They never worked.
Oh, wow.
So he just basically said, here, it was an insane move for him to do that, but he saw something in me, right? That said, this is the right person for this, I guess. But But the chain of command is one of the first things. The vision, how does it look? Where does it go? That was like the first thing he showed me. And ever since then, anytime I start a company or start with a company or do anything like building out a company, I ask, those one of the first questions I ask, if it's more than a one person. Like when Mark and I asked, there was no real chain of command. He was just getting his thing started. Now there's a chain of command. Now he has people under him and so on.
And I bring him in like that too. This
Right.
is your so-and-so and
Right.
such and such.
Well,
Right.
and the big thing with it is, if the way we were talking about it is, if 10 years from now, you want the VP of marketing, the VP of hiring, and the VP of human resources to be reporting to you, and that's how you want to run your business, it's expensive to hire a VP. They are not cheap. Even in the Philippines, you're going to pay them a higher price point. But what if you've got the 10-year vision in mind, and right now when you're hiring a social media marketing manager, you already know the traits of your future vice president of this department. And when you hire them for $7 an hour, you start noticing those traits. So maybe you direct them to management training and you start slowly working them up the ranks before they're even close to ready for it. So that in 10 years, instead of going and hiring a really, really expensive vice president, you've now built someone up from $7 an hour to the vice president of your company who has built their way up, has super company loyalty. And the reason you did that is because instead of hiring some random person with just breathing, we'll just ignore that.
Right.
You hired your future vice president of marketing from when they were just a social media manager.
It's crazy you should say that. Go ahead.
Which she just mentioned two super important things there. It's one, identifying who's on the team and their key traits, and then moving them to the right seat of the bus, which we all know what that means. And then the second thing is hiring from within rather than finding someone out to take a leadership role that hasn't actually been in the company and hasn't really experienced that company's culture to actually really cope with everyone else. Not to mention, if you hire a leader, that means people are under them. That doesn't necessarily mean that the people under them are going to want to listen to that leader unless it's someone that has been promoted from within, so they've already earned that loyalty and earned the respect.
Everyone loves the...
Well, we do need to wrap up, especially since we lost one of our cameras. But all right, well, thanks everybody. We're at over 30 minutes anyway. So great discussion on job owner versus business owner. A lot of keen insight there.
Yeah, we should call this episode 1 job owner versus business owner, because you could have 20 episodes on this one.
Right.
Yeah.
On this subject.
All right, as we wrap up the show, quick reminder, check out our latest podcast or catch video version of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. It's going to be it for us for this one. You guys have a great one. We'll see you on the next show.
Thanks, Mark.
Good.